lips or words could express that sentiment, it'd be something worth to cherish. And if the actions would follow behind those humorous words you said with the pride, you could die with the quiet, for the quite new, for the right that I would be down, for the three, for the gin, for the tonic, and you can be there briefly. And for the this to be the only, besides that, for the march, you can have that hand in hand. You saw us wave, but it was not a goodbye for the victory parade. So young, so beautiful. No word I haven't heard in a while, for it makes me smile, for the thinking you, for the hear the verse. If lips or words could express that. If lips or words could express that. If lips or words could express that sentiment, it'd be something worth to cherish. And if the actions would follow behind those humorous words you said with the pride, I could die with the quiet, but the quite new, for the right that I would be down, for the three, for the gin, for the tonic, and you can be there briefly. And for this to be the only, besides that, for the march, and you can have that hand in hand. You saw us wave, but it was not a goodbye for the victory parade. So young, so beautiful. No word I haven't heard in a while, for it makes me smile, for the thinking you, for the hear the words, for the voice, for this to be the stripping of the exciting of the ending, beginning, keeps grinning, excited enough to distract, for the other, for the drastic art. This would be the act, for this to display to the day, for the shot, for the chest, for this would be the only way that I can manifest. This is beyond compare. Flew over there, flew for the air, for the above, that for the below, the head for the ordinance, and the exploded for the instantly drowned down, odor for the brain. Find it above that lampshade. You are aware of the wild things will go. You'll find that joy, the aging, for the passion, the love. Like a subliminal point, for this the answer for the entry. How smell works like a little bit of everything, for the always spinning for the way, for the from there, for whether you're flying off, for the random into the world, for this is insane, to the air, for the other ways, for the solid, for the gas, substance specific, for the enough of the iodine. Dry eyes fell for the phone and I saw you, straight to the new state without a passing. Though for the expected is one, for the although enough for this left at the moment, for the compare as never to be whole without you apply. Heat for the I turn into the either that for the other, for the pleasure for the on. Who's visits to the city for the ones who came forth for the sake to speak, with the pleasure for answering and saying. Pleasures for the freedom song, but they're not for the freedom. It's the blossoming for the desire, but they're not for the fruit. This is the depth of the calling into the height, for this is not the deep nor the high. Occasion talking for the taking of the wing, for the side spacing, encompass of the truth. Pleasure for the freedom for the song and not fame. People have you sing it with the fullness of the heart. Yet I would not have you lose your hearts in singing. You for the one, for the youth, and seek for the pleasure, for the we're all the judge and rebuke. We're not judge nor rebuke them. Now have it I to seek, for this shall find the pleasure for the not alone. Here for the sister, for the these are them, for the butterfield, beautiful than the pleasure. Heard that for the man was digging on the earth for the roots. Found a treasure for the son, for the elder. You've remembered for the pleasure, for the regrets of the wrongs. Committed for the drunkenness and the regret, for the clouding of the mind. It's not the chastisement for the distant should remember. Pleasure for the gratitude that you could find a harvest. Summer for the comfort of the regret. Let them be comforted for the long, for the you are. You for the needed, for the needed, for the young, for the seek, for the not, for the old, for the remember, for the temper. Fear, seeking, remembrance. This is the shelf for the find the pleasure, for the neglect, for the spirit, for the fend after the against it. There's for the forging on, for the pleasure, for the this to be defined, for the treasure, for the arbor, for the day, for the roots. Quivering hands, tell me who it is and who that it is, and the offended the spirit, for the shell be the night and get for the defending in the stillness of the night, for the firefly, for the stars. You should flame, you're smoking with the bird and wind. Thinking you the spirit for the stool, for the pool, but you can trouble with the staff. Often you deny yourself for the pleasure, for the do, the store, for the desire, for the recess. Your being for the night, for the know which you omit it, for the today's and final waits for the tomorrow. Even your body knows its heritage, for the rightful need, for the it would not be deceived. Your body is the heart for the soul, yours to the bring forth and sweet music for the confusing the sounds. This for the you ask in your heart, for the should be distinguishing which is the good and the pleasure for myself. If lips or words could express, if lips or words could express that sentiment, it'd be. If lips or words could express that sentiment, if lips or words could express that sentiment, if lips or words could express that sentiment, it'd be something worth to cherish. If lips or words could express that sentiment, it'd be something worth to cherish. And if the actions would follow behind those humorous words you said with the pride, you died with the quiet, with the quite new, for the right that I would be down, for the three, for the gin, for the tonic, and you can be there briefly. And for this to be the only, besides that, for the march, and you can have that hand in hand. You saw us wave, but it was not a goodbye for the victory parade. So young, so beautiful. No word I haven't heard in a while, for it makes me smile, for the think of you, for the hear the words, for the voice, for this to be the stripping of the exciting of the ending, the beginning, keeps grinning, excited enough to distract, for the other, for the drastic art. This would be the act, for this to display to the day, for the shot, for the chest, for this would be the only way that I can manifest. This is beyond compare. Flew over there, flew for the air, for the above, that for the below, the head for the ordinance and the exploded for the instantly drowned down, odor for the brain. Find it above that lampshade. You are aware the wild things will grow. You'll find that joy, the age, the passion, the love. Like a subliminal point for this, the answers for the entropy. How smell works like a little bit of everything. For the always spinning from the way for the from there, from where you're flying off for the random into the world. For this is the same to the air, for the other ways of the solid for the gas. Substance specific for the enough for the iodine. Dry eyes felt for the phone and I saw you. Straight to the new state without a passing. Though for the expected is one for the although enough for this left at the moment for the appear as. Never to be whole without you apply. He for the I turn into the either. Either that for the other. For the pleasure for the on. Who's fitted to the city for the ones who came forth and say to speak with the pleasure for answering your same. Pleasures for the freedom song, but not for the freedom. It's the blossoming for the desire, for the not for the fruit. It's the death for the calling into the height, for this is not the deep nor the high. Occasion talking for the taking of the wing, for this not space and encompass of the truth. Pleasure for the freedom for the song and not fame. People have you sing it with the fullness of the heart. Yet I would not have you lose your hearts and see me. Youth for the horn, for the youth to seek, for the pleasure for the we're all the judge and rebuke. We're not judge nor rebuke them. Now have it I to seek, for this shall find the pleasure for the not alone. Nearer for the sister, for the needs, to these of them, for the blood, feel beautiful than a pleasure. Heard that for the man was digging on the earth with the roots. Found the treasure for the son, for the elder. You've remembered for the pleasure, for the regrets of the wrongs. Committed for the drunkenness and the regret, for the clouding of the mind. It's not the chastisement for the distant should remember. Pleasure for the gratitude that you would find a harvest. Summer for the comfort of regret. Let them be comforted for the mom, for the you are. You for the neither, for the neither, for the young, for the seek, for the not, for the old, for the remember, for the ever. Fear, seeking, remembrance. This is the shell for the find the pleasure, for the neglect, for the spirit, for the fend that, for the against it. There's for the forging on, for the pleasure, for the this to be defined, for the treasure, for the author of the day, for the boots, quivering hands. Tell me who was this and who that is, and the offended the spirit, for the shell be the night, and for the defending of the stillness of the night, for the firefly, for the stars. You should flame your smoking with the bird and wind. Thinking you're the spirit for the stool, for the pool, but you can trouble with the staff. Often you deny yourself for the pleasure, for the do, the store, for the desire, for the recess. Your being for the not, for the know which you will for the today's and final waits for the wrong. Even your body knows its heritage for the rightful need, for the it would not be deceived. For your body is the heart for your soul, yours to the bring forth and sweet music for the confusing the sounds. This for you ask in your heart, this should be distinguished, and which is a good and the pleasure for me. If lips or words could express that sentiment, it'd be something worth to cherish. And if the actions would follow behind those humorous words you said with the pride, like a diary, the quiet, for the quite new, for the right that I would be down, for the three, for the gym, for the tonic, and you can be there briefly. How those melodies will play their part. As sweet as that silhouette can be. Pleasure for you, for the good, for the feel, for the garden. How those melodies will play their part. How those melodies will play their part. As sweet as that silhouette can be. Pleasure for you, for the good, for the feel, for the garden. And you should learn how to be the flower for the gather, the honey, and fire. Pleasure for the flower, for yield is the honey to be. For the bee, the flower, for the honey, the fountain, and that for the flower, for the bee, for the messenger, for the love. To both be and flower, that and giving and receiving, and the pleasure for the need, for the ecstasy. People to that, for the owner, define for the bee, for the pleasure, for the this to be the flowers of the bees and birds. And so to speak about for the sunken, you can ask me no more for the welcome. How those melodies will play their part. As sweet as that silhouette can be. How those melodies will play their part. As sweet as that silhouette can be. Pleasure for you, for the good, for the feel, for the garden. And you should learn how to be the flower for the gather, the honey, and fire. Pleasure for the flower, for yield is the honey to be. For the bee, the flower, for the honey, the fountain, and that for the flower, for the bee, for the messenger, for the love. To both be and flower, that and giving and receiving, and the pleasure for the need, for the ecstasy. People to that, for the owner, define for the bee, for the pleasure, for the this to be the flowers of the bees and the birds. And so to speak about for the sunken, you can ask me no more for the welcoming of what you can find bestow. That for the June is past, that for the fading rose, for in your beauty for the Orient deep, this for the flowers of the cause of the sleep. No more for the wither, do you stray for the golden atoms of the day, for the pure heaven did you prepare for the powders, enrich your hair, not for the more for the wither you can find the haste, and this the nightingale for the maize past, sweet for the dividing of the throat for the winters and keep your warmer note, this and the more for the those stars in light, downward for the falling in the dead of the night for your eyes and sit there for the fixing of becoming your spear, more for the west, east, this is the phoenix that build the spicy nest, and unto you for the last she flies, that for the fragrant of the blossom, dies you. How those melodies will play their part. As sweet as that silhouette can be. How those melodies will play the part. How those melodies will play the part. As sweet as that silhouette can be. Pleasure for you, for the good, for the feel, for the garden, and you should learn. How those melodies will play the part. How those melodies will play the part. As sweet as that silhouette can be. Pleasure for you, for the good, for the feel, for the garden, and you should learn. How to be the flower for the gather, the honey and find. Pleasure for the flower, for yield is the honey to be. For the bee, the flower, for the honey, the fountain, and that for the flower, for the bee, for the messenger, for the love. To both be and flower, that from giving and receiving, and the pleasure for the need, for the ecstasy. People to that, for the owner, define for the bee, for the pleasure, for the just to be the flowers of the bees and birds. And so to speak about for the sunken, you can ask me no more, for the welcoming of what you can find bestow. That for the June is past, that for the fading rose, for in your beauty for the Orient deep. This for the flowers of the cause of the sleep. No more for the wither, do you stray for the golden atoms of the day, for the pure heaven did you prepare. Prepare for the flowers, enrich your hair. Not for the more, for the wither you could find a hasten. This a nightingale for the May is past. Sweet for the dividing of the throat for the winters and keep your warmer note. Listen to more for the those stars and light. Downward for the falling in the dead of the night for your eyes and sit there for the fixing of becoming your spear. More for the west, east. This is the phoenix that build the spicy nest and unto you for the last she flies. That for the fragrance of the blossom dies. You ask that for the aftergod. After a God for the man I love in the most sable day, for the taking the ballpoint pen for the connecting the stars across that for the freckle faces, the stress of the Milky Way, cross the slope, pale for the belly for the name for the new constellation. After God who shows the people the place and they might shine. That for the inside, that in your voice, still light for the masons, for the mood to put me in for the sky's 10th to the hour for the owner to my own. Occasional hum is zip. This to be the August of the sun for the month for the splashing that bought for the Mediterranean. Remember you can find that jewel for the tyranny. Hearing you what would you weren't and really pull me for the soft for the interior punching the recalling of your sheen and brown for the bliss for your limbs and this be love for the have lunch. Evening on the phone for the pitching of what you can find in tone. I am not alone. I've been the world. This for the line depicting yourself. World for the big as you make it for the I know you used to abide. This for the nest to the corner for the wings to the pressing close to my side for the side of a distant horizon for the skylight encircled by the sea. Throbbing with the burning desire for the travel immensity. I can find a battle for the corridors and around me for the cratering of the wings and breeze. And this is soared to the uttermost of the reaches with the rapture with the power for the ease. Easel you can find the picture to find art. Art for the paint you picture. Those melodies will play the part. As sweet as that silhouette can be. How those melodies will play the part. As sweet as that silhouette can be. Pleasure for you, for the good, for the feel, for the garden, and you should learn. And how they be the flower for the gather, the honey and find. Pleasure for the flower, for yield is the honey to be. For the bee, the flower for the honey, the fountain, and that for the flower for the bee, for the messenger, for the love. To both be and flower, that from giving and receiving, and the pleasure for the need, for the ecstasy. People do that for the owner, define for the bee, for the pleasure for the just be the flowers of the bees and the birds. And so we'll speak about for the sunken, you can ask me no more, for the welcoming of what you can find bestow. That for the June is past, that for the fading rose, for in your beauty for the Orient deep. This for the flowers of the cause of the sleep. No more for the wither, do you stray for the golden atoms of the day, for the pure heaven did you prepare. Prepare for the flowers, enrich your hair. Not for the more, for the wither you can find a hasten. This a nightingale for the May is past. Sweet for the dividing of the throat for the winters and keep your warmer note. Listen to more for the those stars and light. Downward for the falling in the dead of the night for your eyes and sit there for the fixing of becoming your spear. More for the west, east. This is the phoenix that build the spicy nest and unto you for the last she flies. That for the fragrance of the blossom dies. You ask that for the aftergod. After a God for the man I love and the most able day, for the taking the ballpoint pen for the connecting of stars across that for the freckle faces, the stress of the Milky Way, cross the slope, pale for the belly for the name for the new constellation. After God who shows the people the place and they might shine. That for the inside, that in your voice, still light for the mason for the mood to put me in for the sky's 10th to the hour for the owner to my own. Occasional hum is zip. This to be the August of the sun for the month for the splashing about for the Mediterranean. Remember you can find that jewel for the tyranny. Hearing you what you were and really cool. Me for the soft for the interior punching, recalling your sheen and brown for the bliss for the lamps of the spirit for the have lunch. Evening on the phone for the pitching of what you can find in tone. I am not alone. I've been the world. This for the line thinking yourself. World for the big as you make it for the I know you used to abide. This for the nest to the corner for the wings to the press close to myself to the side of the distant horizon for the skylight encircled by the sea. Throbbing with the burning desire for the traveling in the sea. I can find a battle for the corridors and around me for the cratering of the wings and breeze. This is soared to the uttermost of the reaches with the rapture with the power of the ease. Easily you can find the picture to find an art. Art for the paint you picture.
My last dance floor is a hotel. My whole bedroom is no before.
Eres como el viento que me lleva, volando por ahí, volando por donde quiera, como fantasma, fantasma.
Those melodies will play the part.
Eres Eres culpable por dándome tentación. En tus ojos me desvelo y tus labios me buscan en la oscuridad. Como oraciones a la noche le pido a Dios que me dé felicidad. El viento que me lleva, volando por ahí, volando por donde quiera, como fantasma, fantasma, como fantasma, fantasma que a veces aparece. Eres culpable por dándome tentación. En tus ojos me desvelo y tus labios me buscan en la oscuridad. Le pido a Dios que me dé felicidad. Eres como el viento que me lleva, volando por ahí, volando por donde quiera, como fantasma, fantasma, como fantasma, fantasma que a veces aparece.
Stop slaying, stop slaying. My hotel room is cracking. Buildings are full of souls falling. My family is all struggling. I took a bed from no ceiling. Maybe I am ready to leave. My heart is on fire. Maybe I am ready to leave. My heart is on fire. I had to run from the 10th floor. I lost the dance floor, just
eres culpable por darme tentación. En tus ojos me desvelo y tus labios me buscan en la oscuridad. Le pido a Dios que me dé felicidad. Eres como el viento que me lleva, volando por ahí, volando por donde quiera, como fantasma, fantasma, como fantasma, fantasma que a veces aparece.
Stop slaying. My hotel room is crackling.
dándome tentación en tus ojos míos y tus labios me buscan en la oscuridad. Oraciones le pido a Dios que me dé felicidad.
He's capturing mine. He's capturing mine. Fine. Time with the rhythm was all designed for the joy, for the life, for the full of love, and you for this to be the lot. I was like in a place, orphan, you wrong from this happened to me. That for so much of the means to be loved and this. That for the equal heavens is so much of grace, and this is not how you rest, and yet man, think of it. Something heavenly for the width of the verse, you glorious name for the God of mine. Since that being saying, and came so good for the God of the relic, for the this to be the dwelling, for the what you can find a little worth. Little that I am just shall be spent, setting with the immortal for the praises and forth. Argument for the uplifting and share you love the book of high degree. I have that for the thing you call a love for the watching you. For the diction, for the valley, for the thing in the heartbeats, name it, let me define the darkness of the sugar pie. Watching the struggle bear for that, just like what you can call me of the unprintable husband. His heart, his sweetheart, for the finding, for the answer, the calling, for the name of the law, for the animals, and not the name of the people, life, that birth lays in place. Find a plan, like your name, for the colors of the plant parts. Together for the heartbeats, together you been named like for the calling out of the evening, for the radiance of the planet. Quiver that like a cobra, that for the audience of the squid. Already ostentation for the peacock, calling for the creature, for the earth, we're calling asleep. Shout out to the moon, we don't know for the brushing across your face. This is for the name of the blue, they can make sure you can swiping of the hands and you can finger across your face for the trying to remember the path of the river, for the we only visit in our dreams. Things are never that after the never tomorrow, for the no tomorrow, for the never, for the kitty, for the ghoulish, for the kind of silly enough, for the already and lovely. Each other for the cheekbones, whatever you can kind of couple it. Verbs of the man, for the body, for the experience, for the wearing of the what you can find the cartwheel, for the devilly of the dare. Just for their own, the fanfare, for the future, for the soul, the astonished, for the nipples, what you can find, what you mean, for the disability, ticklish, to find nothing but the winter, for the compare anymore, for the air. I can sign the such after the cue to today. Die for the have been, for the disability name. This for after one, for the mother, for the martyrage. This for the mother, for the martyr, for the haunted, for the name, for the die, for the you be the midsummer, for the promise ring. You for the die, for the love, for the pattern like you can have a postcard, for the an imagination and walking up with the whole frame away for your veggies and imagine that waking up in the dream, but this would be the tree line. You root the song, you amount for the time, the equal with the killing of the ring finger for the unchewable part. You headache and gone for the pardon over your dandelion, for the steam that goes for the 6 foot never I can find interstate. This is all for the mother, for the just yourself, for the honey bunch. I like little for the hucklebuck of other over the leafy, it's impossible gender based, and you can have the break for the starting over your home with country song. That's slow dance too, not for the only pay required enough for the moonbeam. Highway straight back for the only divine somehow. Always over the open road for the for the chorus and to forget about the worst, and you like the joy for the someone whispering the imagination. You can never make them for the whole about for the grinning stars, and you remember something of a difference with the singer someday for the matching. Sweater for that you could be cute enough for this to be the little bit. But also think of it, you can find a spit. Always the sunset, golden hour for the soul for the same through the season. This is the bound for the under circle of the candles and touching each of the rose blood for the sitting until we rise to the east, capturing mine, fine, time with the rhythm. The rhythm was all designed for the joy, for the life, and the full of loving you for this to be the lot. I was like in a place, more for your own for this happened. That for the so much in the means to be loving base. That for the equal heavens is so much in grace, and this is not how you rest, and yet man think of it. Some heavenly for the wet for the verse, and you glory.